So after creating your logo, we're going to add it to a t-shirt. Now, one of the great things about Adobe is that you can use Adobe programs together and be able to combine the different specialties of each of those programs. So you can find a lot of templates, mock-up templates online for things like t-shirts, hoodies, shoe boxes, cereal boxes, all of these type of things. And what you can use them as is to put something into them that you have designed and actually see what the final outcome would be. So we're going to do something simple here, and we're going to do a t-shirt. So after you've created your logo, you should have no background color on it. And I'm going to show you the example logos from the lesson that I created. So I have these little Llama Loungewear logos, and I have them both in color and in black and white, because a lot of times when you're working with logos and you're putting them on clothing or any kind of mock-ups, you need to know what they're going to look like both ways, because you can't always have things either printed in color, or if you're like designing t-shirts or even like polo shirts with the logo on it, it costs more to have multiple colors put on it. So you want to know what it's going to look like in either black and white or single color or anything along those lines. So it's always good to keep that in mind whenever you're doing your designing. A good example of this is I sometimes have students that will have to create t-shirts for different purposes. So, like a travel t-shirt for a group that's doing a study abroad type of thing, or for a sports team that needs a basic t-shirt made for their team. What they have to keep in mind is wherever that coach or sponsor is going to be sending this to and how many colors that they're allowed. I've worked with some that want to only pay for one color. So I've seen designs that are just simply black and white, and they take the color out and take the white out and then print it on a colored shirt, and it becomes black and blue or black and pink, whatever the color of the shirt is. Also have, a lot of athletic teams want to do 2 or 3 colors, depending on how many colors that their school actually has. Like, do they have 3 colors, like a black, a white, and a color? Or do they just have the 2 school colors? So you have to take that into consideration and maybe edit down to where the color of the t-shirt is one of those colors, and then the ink would be the other 2. So for example, if you're using black, white, and red for your 3 colors, you may print on a red shirt and do black and white for your ink colors, but then you're still working with 3 colors, so you can include that red in so that wherever it shows through the logo or through the design, you could still use that color. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the logo that you've designed and we're going to transfer it onto a t-shirt. So this is really super simple. You're going to have your logo open in Illustrator, and then in Photoshop, I'm going to give you a file that looks like this. Okay, we can change the t-shirt color on here, so that's why I said to make sure whenever you're doing this to not have any kind of background color in your Illustrator file. So if you look at my Illustrator file, it's simply the artboard. And what I can do is I can select it all, and I'm going to choose to do my color one. If you wanted to do your black and white one, you can do whichever one works better that you think is going to work better on the t-shirt. But what you're going to do is you're going to select your design. So selection tool, draw a big square over it, and then Control C. And then we're going to go back to that t-shirt design that we have, okay? Like I said, we can make changes to all the colors and stuff in here. First, we have to get the logo on though. So what I'm going to do is we're going to change out your design here for the actual logo. So if you go over here on your layers, you're going to see one that says your design goes here, and you can tell that it's a smart object because it does have the little icon on it. And we're going to double click on the thumbnail, and it's going to put you into the area where that design is going to fit. Now you can close the eyeball here, and you can see that there's nothing else behind it. You can also see there's no t-shirt color behind it. If you were to fill this with a color, what it's going to do is then put a great big square in the middle of your t-shirt, which doesn't really work great for t-shirt design. So we're going to close that out, and I'm going to now do Control V, and it's going to give you this little pop-up. It says paste. We want to paste as a smart object, and I want you to make sure that add to my current library is unclicked. There's no little check mark right there. We're going to do this as a smart object because of the simple fact that if you do it as a smart object and you go through and you design it and then you go back and you're like, with mine, I have this like pinky color. Really don't like that pinky color. I wish it was a light purple, a lavender. I can simply come in and change it. I don't have to mess with my original file. I don't have to start all over. And I'll even show you how to do that in just 1 second so that you know. Okay, so I'm going to smart object and I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to fit it in here. And you can go ahead and resize it any way you want. Remember, Control T when you're working, Control T or Command T, depending on what kind of computer you're working on. You can resize this. I'm going to hit my little check mark so you can see it right here. I'm going to go ahead and leave it touching the edges because of the fact that it doesn't go top and bottom. I don't want that perfect square like I said earlier. And then when you get it in here just the way you want it, you're going to come up here to where it says your design logo goes here .psb, and I'm going to close it. It's going to ask me if I want to save. I'm going to say yes. You can see it is now on my t-shirt. Now, before we go through and change all these t-shirt colors and everything, let's go back to that point that I was making. So, I really don't like this pink color. I really wish that I had changed it to a lavender. So what I can do is I can come in here and I can double click on it, and you'll see, so I double clicked, let me go back. Where your design goes here, that thumbnail, I'm gonna double click on that smart object. Then it's going to put you back in that PSB that we just closed and saved. And you can see over here, here's another smart object. So I can simply double click on it again, and it sends me into Illustrator. And you'll see up here, here's my lesson 9 that I took it from. You can see right here, it says vector smart object.ai. I can now come into this, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. And I can find that pink box that I originally started with, and I can change that color. So I'm going to double click right here on my colors, and I'm going to make it a light lavender and hit OK. And it's that simple. Now I can close this one out. Do I want to save? Yes. I can go back to Photoshop. You see it changed it for me. And I mean, you can go in and maybe my llamas, I wanted my llamas to be tan, or I wanted to change the text color. You can do any of that. And then again, I'd have to come up here to the PSB file and close it. Hit yes, and it'll change it on my shirt again. You always have to close out that PSB file and save it though to see the difference on the t-shirt. Okay, now let's talk about changing t-shirt color. So over here, if you come over here, you can see it says change color here. I believe it's this one right here. Nope, I was wrong. It's this one right here. Change color here, and I can double click on it, the little camera. And then right here, it'll pull up blue, but maybe I want my t-shirt to be, now I want my t-shirt to be pink, or I want it to be green, or whatever color you want to change it to. I personally kind of liked the pinkish kind of color behind it. So I'm going to go kind of pink, maybe lighten it up a little bit. There we go. And hit OK. Now, the bottom one down here, what this is going to do is change your background color. So maybe you don't like this kind of off-white color. If you double click on, click on this camera right here, you don't have to double click, and you come up here, maybe you want it to be closer to a pure white, or you want it to have a nice darker black background. Okay, so you can kind of play around with it if you want, and hit OK if you wanted to change that. The nice part about this is, see, it gives it this shadow so that it makes your shirt look a little more realistic. If it's a little too dark for you, if you want to turn off that shadow overlay, you can do that as well. Okay. So you're going to make the t-shirt look exactly the way you want it to. If you want it to move this entire image, like I feel like it's a little bit low, you can click on your design goes here, and you can simply move it up or down. Okay. So you can fix it any way that you want that t-shirt to look. What I want you to do is go ahead and save this right. First of all, save it as a PSD, so file, save as, and go ahead and save it just in case anything happens. And then you can come over here and do these little lines right here on your layers, flatten your image, discard yes, and then file, save as, and make sure you save this one as a JPEG, which is right here. Okay? If you have any questions on how to use these two programs together, feel free to let me know, and I'll be happy to answer any questions for you.